More than 1.2 million people are now estimated to be living illegally in the UK, a number larger than the entire population of cities like Birmingham or Liverpool. Yet, this massive population is almost invisible. Records, no national ID, no status, just lives quietly blending in, and cities quietly absorbing them. So where are these people living? What UK cities are now unofficial hotspots for illegal immigrants in 2025? You might think London tops the list, and you'd be right. But the real shocker, some of the cities in the top 10 are places you'd never expect. We're talking about mid-sized cities, quieter towns, places you'd never think twice about. And here's something even more surprising. Some of these cities didn't make the list just because of size or diversity, but because of things like cheaper housing, underground job markets, and how easy it is to go unnoticed. This isn't just a numbers game. These hidden pockets of undocumented lives are reshaping entire neighborhoods, job markets, even school systems. Stay with us, because the city at number 4 will make your jaw drop. And the city at number 1, it's way worse than you think. Let's break down the real, raw, and unseen story of illegal immigration in the UK's top 10 cities, starting now. Number 10, Sheffield. Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is Sheffield, a city that's quietly climbed the ranks in 2025 when it comes to undocumented populations. Surprised? You're not alone. Sheffield's seen a significant rise in illegal immigrants over the past few years, largely due to a combination of government dispersal policies and lower living costs. When asylum seekers are denied status or their visas expire, many choose not to leave. Instead, they disappear into the shadows. And Sheffield, with its affordability and lower scrutiny, offers a kind of quiet shelter. NGOs and Grass City have reported an uptick in requests for housing aid, legal support, and medical help from individuals with no legal status. Many of these stories never make headlines, but they're happening every day. Some undocumented families live in shared, overcrowded housing, surviving off underpaid labor and donations from support groups. Others avoid public services altogether, out of fear of being reported. What's driving this surge? Well, beyond just economics, it's about invisibility. Sheffield isn't a city people expect to be a hotspot, and that's precisely what makes it attractive. There's also a certain degree of community protection in some neighborhoods, where undocumented immigrants can exist without immediate fear of detection. The local economy also plays a role, with industries still relying on cheap, off-the-books labor, from small-scale manufacturing to delivery care. Many undocumented migrants find ways to earn without official paperwork. It's not glamorous, it's not secure, but for many, it's survival. What's alarming is how much of this goes unnoticed. Behind the ordinary-looking streets and quiet suburbs, entire communities are living in legal limbo, with no rights, no voice, and very little hope of changing their status. And yet, Sheffield is only the beginning. The next city on our list has an even more complex web of hidden migration and underground survival. Let's keep going. Number 9, Leeds. Sliding into the number 9 spot is Leeds, a vibrant city known for its universities, nightlife, and booming industries. But in 2025, it's also facing a growing issue of undocumented migration. Leeds has long been a magnet for young migrants, especially those arriving on student. But here's the twist. A large portion of the illegal immigrant population in Leeds today entered the UK legally. They came to study or work, and then simply stayed after their visas expired. Some overstay intentionally, lured by the promise of better wages and opportunity. Others get caught in bureaucratic delays or denied extensions, leaving them with no real way back. The city's black market economy also plays a major role. From informal restaurants to cash-in-hand warehouse jobs, Leeds offers plenty of ways for people to earn without legal status. And with such a large student population, it's easy to blend in, rent a room, and disappear in plain sight. What makes Leeds even more unique is its size. big enough to hide, but not so large that authorities crack down aggressively. Plus, communities from around the world have already established strong roots here, creating safe networks for newcomers. Local social workers and volunteers say it's becoming harder to track just how many undocumented people now live in the city. Some have built full lives here, families, routines, even businesses, all while technically being invisible. So what do you think? Should cities like Leeds tighten enforcement, or is there a better way to deal with long-term undocumented residents? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we read them all. And if you're finding this breakdown eye-opening, hit that subscribe button and like the video so we can keep bringing you the real stories, the headlines skip. Number 8. Luton. Luton isn't the kind of city you'd expect to make headlines in discussions about illegal immigration. But in 2025, it's become something of a silent transit hub turned long-term destination. Why? One word: proximity. With one of the UK's busiest airports in its backyard, Luton naturally sees a high volume of arrivals. Some travellers come in with the intent to overstay. Others get lost in the system. Visa errors, expired paperwork, or situations that spiral out of control. What starts as a short visit quietly turns into years of undocumented living. But Luton's not just a place people pass through anymore. Over time, the city has developed close-knit migrant communities who offer informal networks of shelter and support. Newcomers often know exactly where to go, who to speak to, and how to find under-the-table work, even before they arrive. And because Luton isn't as heavily policed or scrutinised as larger cities like London or Manchester, people can settle here with less fear of immediate deportation. It's a low for many, that's exactly the point. Local authorities say they're aware of a growing underground economy, especially in the service and construction sectors, but enforcement is complex. There's little trust between undocumented residents and official bodies. So much of what happens stays invisible unless someone chooses to speak out. By the time anyone notices, lives have been built, children born, and roots planted deep into neighbourhoods that barely blink at the new faces. There are even whispers of organised networks helping undocumented migrants navigate daily life, from securing fake paperwork to providing unofficial medical assistance. These stories float under the surface, half heard, rarely confirmed, yet widely believed. Luton's inclusion on this list is less about numbers and more about patterns of arrival, hiding, surviving and adapting. It's not loud, it's not obvious, very real. Number 7. Glasgow. Tucked far from the political spotlight of Westminster, Glasgow has quietly become a city with one of the fastest-growing undocumented populations in Scotland. It's not the chaos you'd expect from a major immigration hub. It's more subtle than that. Here, the story is different. Many undocumented immigrants in Glasgow didn't arrive illegally. They came through legal refugee or asylum routes, but delays in the system, denial of claims, and bureaucratic black holes have pushed them off the official radar. Some were relocated here as part of government dispersal schemes. Others came looking for work after initial claims failed in England. What makes Glasgow stand out isn't just the influx, but how the city absorbs it. Community groups, churches, and advocacy networks are deeply rooted in a safety net where the state does not. There's a kind of resilience in the undocumented communities, one forged from shared struggle and quiet solidarity. The housing situation tells its own story. In older estates on the city's edge, it's not uncommon to find multiple families sharing a single flat. Landlords often look the other way, or exploit the situation outright, knowing these tenants won't call the authorities. There's also the issue of identity. Many undocumented individuals in Glasgow live under assumed names, using false paperwork just to get by. Others rely entirely on under-the-table jobs, unable to ever report abuse or mistreatment for fear of exposure. That fear defines everything, from healthcare access to how late they can walk outside. Life here isn't easy. Winters are harsh, and unlike in London or Birmingham, the language and cultural gaps can feel wider for newcomers. Still, the promise of less surveillance, lower costs, and a network of support continues to draw those in limbo north. Glasgow isn't on the tip of everyone's tongue when it comes to immigration, but behind its iconic architecture and friendly accent lies a quietly growing underclass, invisible to most, but impossible to ignore for those who live it. Number 6. Coventry. Coventry, often overshadowed by its neighbouring cities, has slowly turned into an unexpected magnet for undocumented immigrants. At first glance, it's an ordinary mid-sized city, but that's exactly why it's gaining attention behind the scenes. It's not just about geography, it's about what Coventry represents in 2025: affordability, anonymity, and access. Rents here are still relatively low compared to bigger cities, and that matters for people trying to disappear from the system. Flat can house multiple undocumented workers without raising eyebrows, especially in older neighbourhoods with transient populations. Then there's the workforce. Coventry has seen a spike in short-term service jobs, especially in delivery, warehousing, and care sectors, all ripe for under-the-table employment. Employers who need quick labour and ask few questions often tap into networks that reach far beyond official hiring practices. And when people disappear into cities like Coventry, they're not always truly hidden. Local charities and outreach workers know what's happening. They report rising numbers of people seeking help without paperwork, especially families with young children. These support systems act as both a lifeline and a veil, shielding undocumented individuals of state intervention. Schools and hospitals quietly adjust too. Teachers notice new students who speak little English. Clinics treat patients who won't provide insurance details. These signs tell a quiet story of a city adapting, whether it's acknowledged publicly or not. What sets Coventry apart isn't just its utility, it's the quiet way it functions. Police presence is moderate, immigration enforcement doesn't make regular sweeps, and communities, whether South Asian, Eastern European or Middle Eastern, have long established roots here that offer informal safety nets. Yet behind the everyday buzz of life in Coventry, a parallel society is forming. One where people go to work, raise families and live full lives, just without the legal recognition. They're not always visible, but they're here, shaping the rhythm of the city in ways that few outside notice, and fewer still understand. 5. Bradford. Bradford doesn't make as much noise as some of the UK's larger cities, but when it comes to undocumented immigrants in 2025, it ranks right in the middle, and for good reason. This isn't a new development. Bradford has a long history of immigration, particularly from South Asia, which has built generations of tight-knit communities. And it's within these communities that undocumented migrants often find their first refuge. Whether it's a cousin offering a spare room or a friend connecting someone to off-the-books work, the support network here runs deep. That's one part of the story. The other, a housing market that's far more accessible than the national average. Older terraced houses in densely packed neighbourhoods make it easy for multiple families or individuals to live together. These homes often escape official scrutiny, and many landlords don't ask too many questions, especially when they're being paid in cash. Bradford's economy also plays into the equation. The city still relies heavily on sectors like textiles, takeaways, and small-scale retail, areas where informal labour isn't just accepted, but often essential. Undocumented migrants fill the gaps, sometimes working 12-hour days for less than minimum wage just to survive. But beneath the surface, there's a growing tension. Local services are stretched thin, and the quiet presence of so many undocumented people is beginning to shape everything from school enrollments to emergency healthcare access. Even local councils, while acknowledging the challenges, struggle to offer clear policies. There's pressure to increase enforcement, but also a recognition that these communities aren't going anywhere. Fabric now. Bradford's place on this list isn't just about numbers, it's about how deeply rooted and quietly complex the issue has become. Behind every shuttered shop and corner cafe might be a story no one's telling, and a person trying to remain unseen in a city that knows how to look the other way. Number 4. Leicester. Leicester isn't just diverse, it's one of the most multicultural cities in the UK. That reputation for openness has made it a hub not just for legal migration, but also for a quietly expanding, undocumented population in 2025. Unlike other cities where migrants might arrive and hide, in Leicester they blend in. The city's ethnic diversity creates an environment where newcomers don't stand out. It's easier to live under the radar when the streets are already filled with dozens of languages, cuisines, and traditions. Leicester is also a university town. Many undocumented migrants here on student visas. Some stayed past their expiration, slipping into informal jobs or relying on the goodwill of local communities. Others came on visitor visas and simply never left. The lines between temporary and permanent can blur quickly when there's no one enforcing the deadlines. But it's not just about who's arriving, it's about what's available. Leicester offers a wide spectrum of low-wage jobs in textiles, food service, and local delivery, often through networks that don't demand legal paperwork. Word spreads fast when someone finds work or a landlord who won't ask questions. Schools here report higher than average numbers of students with uncertain immigration statuses. Community centres provide translation, meals, and even health advice, often without asking for IDs. It's an informal support, but it also masks the deeper issues. What's most striking about Leicester is how normalised this underground life has become. It's not chaotic or criminal, it's just quiet and constant. The undocumented population doesn't hide in the shadows here. They move among everyone else, their presence woven tightly into the city's everyday rhythm. Leicester isn't just a stopover. For many, it's the end of the road and the start of a different kind of life. Number 3. Manchester. Manchester, the unofficial capital of the North, has always been a magnet for opportunity. But in 2025, it's also become one of the top 3 cities in the UK for undocumented immigrants, and not by accident. The city's size is part of the story. With nearly 3 million people in the metro area, blending in is easier here than in smaller towns. But it's not just about numbers, it's about systems. Manchester's informal economy is massive, whether in construction, cleaning, hospitality, and transport. Many undocumented individuals find work quickly, often through word of mouth or community introductions. And make no mistake, Manchester's community networks are powerful. The city has deep immigrant roots, from South Asia to West Africa, and those ties have created informal safety nets. If someone's visa expires or asylum is denied, they're often absorbed quietly into neighborhoods that know how to look after their own. There's also the student factor. With several major universities, Manchester sees thousands of international students every year. And not all of them leave. Some overstay intentionally, others drift into undocumented status through missed paperwork or changes in life circumstances. Once you're outside the system, it's a steep climb back in. The housing situation is a population. It's common to find overpacked rental homes in areas like Longsight or Cheetham Hill, where landlords rarely ask for documentation. Meanwhile, health clinics and food banks report rising demand from those with no official ID. No proof they exist, yet still very much here. Manchester doesn't wear this crisis loudly. It functions, grows, thrives. But behind the cranes and condos, there's another side to the city. One that's undocumented, unrecorded, and growing faster than most people realize. Number 2, Birmingham, second only to London in size. Birmingham is no stranger to immigration. But in 2025, it's facing a complex and increasingly visible challenge. It has one of the largest undocumented populations in the country. There's history here. Birmingham has been a landing point for waves of migrants for decades, generation to Syrian refugees. That history has built vast, interconnected communities that now span generations, and within them, undocumented individuals find shelter, work, and survival. The city's vast scale makes it easy to get lost in the crowd. But even more than size, it's Birmingham's economy that draws people in. From fast food kitchens to private car hires, informal employment is woven into the city's infrastructure. It's not hard to find work if you know someone who knows someone. And in Birmingham, chances are you do. Housing is another factor. Multiple families often live under one roof in suburbs like Sparkhill, Handsworth, or Small Heath. These densely populated neighbourhoods operate with their own rhythm, and undocumented residents often go unnoticed, folded into the fabric of community life. Education and health services schools quietly accommodate children without official records. Clinics treat patients without questions. And while enforcement agencies make occasional appearances, the sheer volume and spread of the undocumented population make full crackdowns nearly impossible. The scale of informal migration here is such that it has started reshaping local economies. Pop-up businesses, rideshare drivers, home-based services, many operate in a grey area, powered by a workforce that technically doesn't exist. What makes Birmingham unique isn't just the numbers. It's how embedded the undocumented population is. It's not a fringe issue, it's daily life. And as costs rise and policies tighten, more people are falling through the cracks and finding refuge in the shadows of England's second city, London. Topping the list is no surprise. London, the capital of the UK, remains the #1 city with the highest estimated population of undocumented immigrants in 2025. It's not just the size that does it. London is a global city, a place where people from every corner of the world arrive, legally and illegally, every day. But what keeps undocumented individuals here isn't just opportunity, it's invisibility. With more than 9 million people, London is a city where you can disappear. Anonymous in a crowd, one of millions. For those without papers, that anonymity is protection. But beneath that surface is a vast network of informal living. Shared flats packed with tenants whose names never appear on a lease. Kitchens, salons, minicab services, all run by workers paid under the table. Many undocumented immigrants are employed in London's service industries, make the city run while staying out of sight. There's also a psychological pull. London represents a dream. Even undocumented people come here believing they can start a better life. And for some, they do, at least in fragments. A job, a room, maybe a community. Enough to get by. Still, the risks are high. Immigration raids do happen, and the cost of living is brutal. But people stay. Because London offers what no other UK city can, total coverage. No one asks where you're from if you can do the work. The city adapts. NGOs quietly fill the gaps. Medical help, legal advice, even language lessons, all available if you know where to look. It's a shadow economy with real infrastructure. London isn't just the capital. It's the epicenter of the undocumented experience in Britain. Complex, layered, hidden in plain sight. For every skyline photo and red bus no tourist ever sees, and a population most officials won't fully admit exists. These stories aren't just numbers, they're real lives, hidden in plain sight. Which city shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts below. We actually read every comment. And if this opened your eyes, check out our last video. You'll see that support what we do. It takes time, research, and heart. Just one click to subscribe means the world to us.